What sort of impact have Paul Scholes and Gary Neville had on your team and on English football in the years that they've been playing?
Well, they've graced it for a start. They've been phenomenal professionals, dedicated to what their job was, and that's why they lasted so long. And for Manchester United to bring two local boys through and spend 18, 19 years with you, it's phenomenal, it's fantastic.
Tell us about them as footballers, and we'll talk about their character in a second.
Well, as footballers, Gary actually joined us as a centre-back. I think he was a midfield player as a kid, but he came to us as a centre-back, but it was obvious he was never going to the true height for a centre-back in the English game. And we developed him into right back, and bit by bit he got used to it. He's practiced every day on his crossing and his passing ability, and he made himself a career out of it. And well, for Paul actually joined us as a striker, and he was a striker to a certain degree, but then we used to play him in behind the main striker with the youth team, and but eventually his passing ability, it was obvious that centre midfield was his best position. It took us quite a bit of time to realise that what his best position was. When he came into the team, it was always off the front with Cantona or with Hughes, and in the final in '96, for instance, he came on as a centre forward in the game. So it took us quite a time to realise that his main strength, the real strength, was his passing ability and his vision. And his career from then on has been fantastic.
And what about their impact on the dressing room? You're uniquely positioned to be able to tell us what they were like and what sort of effect they've had on the other players.
Well, Paul doesn't say anything. He fires the bullets into Gary's gun and Gary does all the talking. And he's been doing that for 18 years. Gary's no twigged yet. But no, I think that Gary's a very forthright guy, speaks the truth, and he's prepared to say it, what he feels. And he's always been that way. And you see him on television now, he's fantastic because he's forthright. There's no side issues with him, there's no grey areas. It's straight, it's black and white to Gary. And that's the way he's always been. Whereas Paul is very measured in what he says, but when he says something, it's always worth listening to.
In terms of young players coming through, looking up to those players, how important have they been in that regard? Well,
for the career they've had, they're on a pedestal with all the young players. And with Paul, when he was with the reserves, he started off this season as a coach in the reserves, the young players were loving it because he would do individual things with them and also take part in the little games at the end, and they could see for themselves playing alongside him what a great player he was. So we've had great examples of great players over the history of our club. Duncan Edwards, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, George Best, and that triumvirate of Giggs, Scholes and Neville, they're in the history books, quite simply.
And how proud are you as their manager to see them receive this award tonight?
Well, I'm proud of the career they've had. I'm proud of what they've achieved with Manchester United, but also I think every fair-minded fan will realise they have been great ambassadors for the game itself. They've held their respect through the game, and their self-esteem is obvious to everyone because you can see that the reason they're playing to such an age they did, and Ryan's still playing and Paul started playing again, Gary of course is on television, that it's not an accident. That's been manufactured by their will, their commitment to the game and their dedication.